This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, good morning. Today we are going to discuss about how to implement billing system. What are all the things we need to do to implement the billing system project? Okay, in the previous session we discussed about how to implement card validation system, right? So today I want to implement billing system. So observe the request. Here I provided the request and response structure. So request contains BS request as the complex element. BS request is the complex element which contains two sub-elements, One is simple element and another one is complex element. Okay, so this order ID is a simple element. Item info is a complex element, which again contains item name and item cost. But guys, I'm expecting this item info as an array. So I want this element multiple times. I mean, suppose if you place an order anytime, uh, it's not that we place only one item, right? We may order for multiple items as well. So this item info, item name, item cost, this section I want to make it as an array. Okay, till now we never see an example with array, right? So here in this billing system, so a project, I want to show you how to process an array element. Okay, see this, the example, if you see this example, BS request is the complex element, root element, and which contains order ID and item info. But item info I have two times. Yeah, of course you can have any number of times. You can prepare multiple item info. Okay, so let's say this is a TV. I want to buy a TV, which is around 1 lakh, 10,000 something, 10,000 or 1 lakh, whatever. Okay, so in this request, in this XML, I have three items. Pen drive, mobile, and TV. Okay, so this is what I am expecting, array. Any questions about array? How to implement the array, I will show you in the discussion, but do you understand how we are expecting the input XML? Okay, so similarly, see the output structure. So in the output, I'm expecting order ID, item info again as an array, and then total cost. I'm expecting total cost. So from billing management system, the actual output I'm expecting is total cost. All other fields we are supplying in the input itself. Other than these fields, we want to calculate the total cost. So how to get the total cost? Each item cost we need to add, and then we will get the total cost. Okay, each item. So suppose if the customer ordered for 3 items, first item plus second item cost plus third item cost. If you add all item costs, then you will get the total cost of the order. Okay, so this is what I want to implement. This is the requirement. Any questions in the requirement from anyone? No?
No, sir.
Okay, now what are all the series of steps we need to implement? Let's start with the steps. Okay, so what we need to do, it's a new requirement altogether, a new requirement, a new feature we want to implement. So you must have a new feature branch. Okay, so what I want to do, always suppose if you have the repository with you, if you have the repository handy with you, okay, then you no need to clone the repository. Suppose if you think you don't have the repository handy with you, you need to clone the repository. See, in my case, I already have the repository in my machine. I already have the repository in my machine, which I created yesterday. Okay, I no need to perform clone again because I already have a clone. I already have a clone operation, so I no need to perform. Or suppose if you already have the clone, it is always recommend to perform git fetch and git git fetch. One is git fetch. Suppose, I mean, we are thinking that we already have the repository handy. We already have the repository handy in our machine. I don't want to clone it again. Then it is always suggestible to perform git fetch and git pull horizon, or I will say simply command I will give you later, fresh pull into main branch. Fresh pull into main branch. Okay, these things you need to do. Either clone, either do a fresh clone. Okay, if you think you already have a fresh clone, you already have a clone in your machine, maybe not fresh, maybe yesterday or day before yesterday we cloned it. So it is always suggestible to fetch and uh, refresh your fresh pull operation on the main branch. Okay, let me go to this. This is the one, and this is the repository folder. Let me open git bash. Already I have clone. I don't want to clone. Make sure I am in main branch. You must be in main branch. If you are not in main branch, you need to check out main branch. If you are not in main branch, you need to check out main branch. And then what I said, git fetch. Git fetch will fetch the latest branches. If anybody, I mean, we are working with Git as a team, right? Suppose not only me, along with me, if other developer also working on the same repository, another developer also working on the same repository, then what I need to do, we both do the commits and push operations, right? So if I do this fetch, if the second developer committed any fresh branch, pushed any fresh branch, that will be updated into my local repository. Okay, and then I want to pull horizon main. If some other developer performed a commit and push on the main branch, which is not available in my machine, if I do this operation, main branch will be refreshed in my local repository. Just let me click. So that's it. My already it is up to date, so no worries, because I'm only the developer using this branch, right? Main branch and the repository. There is no other developer. Suppose if there is a second developer and third developer, fourth developer who are also working on the same repository and they are also doing commits and push on the same repository, then we can see the code which I have not done. They committed, they pushed, and I'm going to pull it. Okay, done. Anyway, we are done with step number 14, right? Now step number 15, create new feature branch for billing management system. Billing management system. Okay, so I want to create a new feature branch. So what we do for new feature branch? What we need to do? First, we need to create git branch feature slash I will say BS. Okay, BS, billing system or billing management system, something. Okay, and then I need to check out git checkout feature slash BS. This is my branch. I just want to do a creation of branch and checkout of the branch. Let me go to git, run the command git. So guys, when you are creating the branch, make sure your current branch should be main branch. Okay, whenever you are creating a new branch, that new branch is a copy of current branch. Make sure. Okay, so the current branch is main. I want to create a new branch. Feature slash BS is my new branch. Now I will check out feature slash BS. Done. So see the current branch now. We entered into new feature branch. We entered into new feature branch. So whatever changes you do in the feature branch that are limited to the feature branch, that will not go to the other branches. Okay, done. So we are ready with our new feature branch. Now go to step number 16, create billing system, billing management system as per the requirement. We need to create billing management system as per the requirement. Done, sir. Let me go to JDeveloper. Let's start working on billing management system. Okay, let me close the existing services. Done. Create a new SOA project. Okay, SOA tires, SOA project. You can give some naming convention for this guy. Billing billing system or billing management system, your choice, give some name. Okay, it's just a user defined keyword. Next, I'm using empty composite, finish. So we are doing the same approach in all the previous examples, correct? So let the service create the new SOA composite. It is taking few seconds. Okay, so we got the billing system. We got the billing system. It contains one composite file. Here, I want to configure a Beeple web service, drag drop the Beeple web service, and now you can see a pop-up. So in the pop-up, you need to select the template. See, card validation system, I selected synchronous Beeple. In billing system, I'm selecting asynchronous Beeple just to give you a variation. Okay, and this is billing system. Billing system Beeple. Okay, and of course you can change the target namespace as well. You can give some user defined keyword as target namespace, practice.com. Okay, and then see here, where is it? Asynchronous Beeple process. Okay, then we selected the asynchronous Beeple process, and we can see input and output. See guys, sometime it is like this. Don't worry, just drag it and you can see the output XSD. Okay, done. So we can see input XSD. This is a default input XSD, guys. We are not generating it. It's a system generated default XSD, request XSD, default output XSD. So two XSDs, and it is an asynchronous template. You know, we did a practice earlier, right? Asynchronous template. When we select asynchronous template, our WSDL contains two port types. One is for request, one is for callback. Port type contains one request operation. Callback port type contains one callback operation. Okay, let's observe. And in the Beeple process, instead of reply activity, we have an invoke activity. Okay, let's see that. I just clicked on OK button. Now you can observe we got a service component, Beeple component wire, and you can see the XSD document. Let me open this XSD document. There are two XSDs. Of course, default XSDs, we need to modify them as per our requirement. And go to WSDL. In WSDL, you can see the main thing you need to observe. Go to your port type section. You will see two port types. Okay, and the first port type contain one operation, second port type contain another operation. Guys, physically there are two operations. But logically it is one operation only. This is what we discussed in the earlier example. Okay, done. Now let's go to your XSD document. This is not as per our requirement, right? We want to modify it. So as per our requirement, I'm expecting this structure. This is the structure I'm expecting for request and response. Okay, let's go back to the JDeveloper, do the modification, BS request, which contains multiple sub-elements. Okay, I'm just copy paste whatever elements required to bring the required structure. This one, item info contains item name and item cost. Item name, and this one, item cost. Okay, item name is a string, item cost is an integer. Input, this one we are expecting order ID. Correct? Order ID? Yeah, order ID. Done. BS request, order ID, item info, which contains item name and item cost. So this is our input structure. But item info we are expecting as an array. Item info we are expecting as an array. It's very simple to make it an array. We need to add additional attributes. Min occurs is equal to 0. Min occurs is equal to 0 and max occurs is equal to unbounded. Let me do that. JDev struct. Hello JDeveloper to reload. Leave him for 10 seconds. So, so guys, I mean, we are making item info as an array. For that, we simply need to add two attributes. One is min occurs attribute and another is max occurs attributes. These are predefined attributes, comes with the XSD definition. Okay. So these attributes will decide how many times this item info is allowed. Okay. Simple, min occurs and then max occurs. Just and of course, guys, outbound is the predefined keyword. Suppose let's say I am expecting item info minimum 5 times, maximum 10 times. Then what we need to do? Min occurs we can configure as 5, max occurs we can configure as 10. That means minimum 5 times item info must be there in the XML. Okay, and it is allowed maximum 10 times. So this is how you can control. Okay, this is how you can control the array size. Any questions about array in an XSD and XML? It's very simple. Okay, it's very easy to define an array. Done. Now I want to define the response XSD. Let me define the response XSD. This is, instead of request, I want to say response. Okay, and here after all these elements, we are expecting one additional element. That is total cost. Okay, and this guy is integer. Order ID, I want to make it integer. Even here, order ID is integer. Okay, done, sir. I created an XSD. I created request XSD and response XSD. I modified mainly the complex elements are new elements, right? So the impact will be there in the visitor. Go to visitor. You can modify the request and response messages. BS request, and this is BS response. Come on. BS. If you click Control Space button, guys, in your keyboard, if you click Control Space, you will get this help. My XSD name is BS response. Okay, or you can copy paste it or type it, anything is fine. But I just want to fix the message section in the visitor. Are we good? So I'm ready with the XSD as per our requirement. You can see the billing request, item info. Item info is an array. See this 0 to infinity, 0 to infinity. 0 is the min occurs, infinity. Unbounded is the max occurs. Okay. And the same thing I'm expecting in the response, order ID, item info, and then total cost. So in this service, we need to calculate total cost. Okay, done. Now go to the BPEL process. In BPEL process, you can see receive activity and callback activity. So now what I want to do here is simply I want to calculate the total cost, nothing else. Okay. So how we can process the data? Up to now, in our previous examples, we are using assign activity to to perform any business logic or mapping between request and output or request and response variables or input and output variables. But in the current example, it's a little different case. Why? Because if you observe, input contains array of item info, output also contains array of item info. I can simply copy order ID to order ID, no worries in this. Okay, I can copy order ID to order ID, and I can also calculate total cost. So what is the total cost? Addition of all item costs, correct? So generally, if you want to perform addition, what we will do? A plus B we will do. Correct? Suppose I have A and B, how we can calculate the total? A plus B. But now we don't have A and B here. We have item cost, which we need to calculate the total, and it is not one time. It will come multiple times along with item info. Okay. And how many times we received the item info as input? That many item costs we need to add. Okay, so if you go to functions, there is a set of function. There is a set mathematic functions. Here you can see a function called sum. You can see a function called sum, and you can also see a function called add or addition. Let me check. See, you can see a function called add, which can perform a plus b kind of addition, a plus b kind of addition. But our current case is not a plus b. Our current case is sum. Sum. If you are coming from mathematic background, this is a sigma function. Okay, sum is what? It has a lower limit and upper limit. Okay, sum of lower limit to upper limit. So something that way it will work. So now what I want to do, if I insert this, sum of the element which we want to perform sum, the element which we want to perform the sum operation. Where is the element? It is in the input variable. If you go to item cost, this is the item cost. We want to perform the sum operation within the sum function. Within the sum function, you need to select the element which you want to perform the sum operation. Are we good? Okay, so now what happened? Sum is completed. The result, I want to store it into total cost. So we are able to configure order ID in output variable. We are able to configure total cost in output variable, but there is an explicit element. There is an explicit element which is item cost, and it is an array. Observe the icon here. This is an array. So by using assign activity, we cannot copy array. We cannot copy array elements. Are we good, sir? We can do single mappings. We can do single field mappings, but we cannot run a loop, for loop, to copy the record of elements. Are we good? Any questions? Any questions? I cannot copy this item info from source to target. From source to target. Done. For that reason, in this example, I don't want to use assign activity. Let me delete the assign activity. So if you want to do more complex mappings, more complex data processing, which involves condition checking, looping, okay, a lot of business logic, if it involves, then we go for transformation activity. Then we go for transformation activity. See, here we have something called Oracle extensions. Here you can see something called XSLT transform activity. Just drag drop the XSLT transform activity. Okay, in this XSLT transform activity, it is little advanced than your assign activity. We can do more complex mappings here. Okay, this is more advanced than assign. Of course, there is a difference between assign and transformation. We'll see that. But now let's configure the transformation activity. This transformation activity is using XSLT programming language. XSLT programming language. We'll see what it is. Okay. Let me go to the source. What is the source variable? You need to add the source variable here. My source variable is input variable. And then the target variable, my target variable is an output variable to perform the mapping. And guys, a transformation file will be created. You can give some naming convention. You can give some naming convention to this guy. I will say billing system request transformation. Billing system request, or I will, any name is fine. I will say calculate total cost, some name. Okay, so there is a file is going to be created. One file will be created in your project, a new file .xsl. When you are using assign activity, new file will not be created. That is part of your people. But this time XSL, a new XSL file we are going to create. If you work with transform activity, that XSL file is a additional file in your project. Okay, a new file. Let me click on OK. Now you can see a new file will be created in your BPL process under transformations folder. A new file created. Observe. Okay, this is the new file we just created. This is an XSLT language. XSLT language. This guy has design view and of course source view. We can do the coding either in the design view or in the source view. Both are fine. Both we can do. Let me show you simple mappings. Let me show you simple mapping. Suppose I have an order ID. I want to copy this into target side, target order ID. Okay, done. Once you perform this mapping, go to the source view. Go to the source view, see the mapping, the coding generated. Coding generated. So this is the source. This is the source. This is the target element. This is the target element. So in the source, PS request order ID, in the input variable PS request order ID, I'm copying it into target side PS response order ID, and I want to construct this XML. I'm constructing this structure of this XML. Okay, done. Of course, guys, don't worry at this point of time. If you don't understand the source code, not an issue at this point of time. Going forward, we discuss more detail about XPath and other stuff. At that time, it will be very clear. Now you can concentrate how you can simply do the graphical coding. Okay, done. I just performed mapping between order ID from source variable to target variable, and then go to item info. Guys, here observe item cost is completely out of item info. Item cost and item info are not inherent with each other. Okay, they are independent. So what I want to calculate the total cost. So how to calculate the total cost? We need to use a function called, we need to use a mathematical function. Here you can see the functions. Here you can see the functions. See, there are two functions. One is addition and one is sum. Current use case, addition is not suitable. If you want to perform addition, what we need to do, we can add element A and element B. In that case, you can go for addition function. But our current requirement is not A plus B. Our current requirement is sigma A from lower limit to upper limit. Okay, for that reason, I want to use sum function. Let's drag drop the sum function. Okay, and then first configure the target. What is your target element? Just map the target element. Done. And then you map the source element. What you want to perform? Sum of item cost. See this. This icon is coming, right? Green color icon. There only, see when you drag the line, when you drag the mapping, it will show you one green color icon. See, you need to release this mapping on the green color icon. Done. Now what happened? Sum of item cost, we are storing it into target side. We are missing something. Oh, it's not, it must not be item cost. Okay, it is total cost, right? What is missing? Go to XSD. I gave a wrong naming convention here. It is total cost. Why this XSLT showing total cost? PS response. Oh, okay, sorry, it is total cost only. Let's go back to sum function. Just configure source and target mappings. I got deviated. Okay, total cost, and then source is item cost. So now what happened? Sum of item cost, we are storing it into total cost. So what is left, sir? Item info is left, and we are expecting item info as an array. So in the source, if you have 10 item info, all 10 item info we need to copy into the target. All 10 item info we need to copy into the target. For that, we need to configure something called for each. We need to configure something called for each. So a loop we need to configure, loop. So it's very simple to configure the loop. Right click on the target, and then select add XSL instruct, and then go to for each. Just simply select the for each. Okay, now you can see this entire section, the entire item info section nested inside for each. We don't need to do anything manually. It's all graphical configuration. Okay, now you need to tell the for each how many times the loop need to be iterated. Okay, so for each need to be iterated depend on item info. So you need to copy item info to for each. We are telling for each, if item info is available 10 times, 10 records are available, then run this loop for 10 times. If item info is available for 5 times, you need to run the for each loop for 5 times. In every iteration, copy item name, copy item cost. in every iteration, copy item name and item cost. Okay, this is within the for each. Observe here. Whatever mappings you performed within for each, they are limited to your for each scope is limited to that element only. Okay, see, item total cost is not inside for each, order ID is not inside for each. Okay, so order ID total cost will not be involved in the for each. Only item info involved in for each, and each iteration we are performing bottom mappings, item name and item cost. Okay, you can see the source code as well. If you go to the source code, see, we performed order ID mapping, simple mapping, and for each for item info, for each for item info, after for each you can see total cost. Any questions as of now? Any questions? Please unmute yourself and speak out.
No, sir.
No? Okay, done. So our transformation is ready. Now what our people is doing? Accept the request, store the data into input variable, and then we have a transformation which is doing some data transformation between input variable and output variable. After the execution of this transformation, your output variable will be loaded with output data. And then finally, we have a callback activity. Guys, actually, there is no activity called callback. If you double click on this activity, you can see the name of the activity. It is invoke. As it is a asynchronous template we selected to configure the Beeple web service, this is coming with callback, I mean invoke activity. Original name is invoke activity. There is no activity called callback. Okay, done. Our service is ready. Our web service is ready. So what I want to do, let me deploy the code and I want to test the code. Okay, the same deployment process we need to follow. Nothing new in the deployment process. Deploy. Okay, select the folder and finish. You can see the log window here. If you go to the log window, it will show you the build status and deployment status. First build must be completed, then deployment will be initiated. Okay, build success, and then go to deployment tab. It is deploying. Okay, deployment finished. Okay, done. Let me go to the enterprise manager. Refresh the screen. Just refresh the screen. This is the refresh icon. We can see a billing system. Okay, get the concrete visual and prepare a SOAP UI test project. Okay, so this is the concrete visual. Copy the concrete visual URL. Okay, go to SOAP UI, create a new SOAP project, provide the concrete visual URL. I'm changing the host name as localhost. Okay, of course, if your server is a remote, if your service is deployed in a remote server, you don't change the host name. Okay, billing system client. Okay, this is a client application. Then we got a billing system. See, this billing system contains two port types. One is request port type and another is callback port type. Go to the request port type, open it. Okay, and you can submit the data, prepare the input data. I will say 1010 is my order ID, and item name, I will say it's a TV. I want to buy a TV. Okay, and I want to buy, let me give some cost for this guy. I will say it's 1 lakh. It's cost of 1 lakh. Let me repeat the element. Our expectation is we want item info as an array. Correct? I just prepared three items, and the second one I want to make it some mobile. Okay, I want to make it 10,000 or 5,000, something. You can give some cost. That's it. 60K. This is something pen drive. I want to make it around 1K, 1000. Okay, so these are all the items I want to place as the request. 3 item info I want to place as request, and my service need to calculate the total cost and also provide order ID and item info in the response. Okay, but this is an asynchronous service. This is an asynchronous service. Just submit the request. So what is our observation earlier? Asynchronous service by default will not give you the output to the client. It will not give you the output to the client. Client has to do something and get the output. Anyway, let's go and check for the instance. If you go to your enterprise manager, just refresh your service instances, flow instances tab. It is loading. So we hope you understand, right, why we did not receive the response in SOAP UI. SOAP UI is the client application. Client application has to do something to receive the response. As of now, we did not make any changes. Okay, it's the default behavior we are seeing here. Go to your instance. In the instance, you can see the people process. Go to the last activity, which is a callback activity, and you can observe the output here. So we got the BS response, which contains order ID, item info, all item info we received, and then we got the total cost as well. We got the total cost. Any questions as of now? Any questions? No? Okay. Let me show you another deployment process. Okay, there is another way we can deploy the SOA service. As of now, we saw one approach, right? So let me undeploy this. Service. Okay, what we can do, if you want to undeploy any composite, guys, so go to SOA Infra. Here you can see the drop-down list. Guys, are you following? I'm showing you a new thing. That example is over. Now I'm showing you how to undeploy a service. Go to SOA deployment, and here you can see undeploy. Once you select undeploy, there is an option to select the service which you want to undeploy. Okay, I want to undeploy billing system. Click next and undeploy. Done. You are undeploying your SOA project from SOA server. So now we have only 3 services. Okay, let me show you something. So guys, this is the SOA project we just created, right? So in any SOA project, let me open it. When you are trying to deploy a service, by using JDeveloper, a jar file will be created. Let me show you. I will show you for card validation system. Okay, let me deploy the card validation system. Just observe, a jar will be created. Okay, see here, I am in card validation system project file system, and here you can see SOA and JPR. If I run the deployment, here you can see a new folder will be created called deploy folder. Okay, let's say click next and finish. Observe, a folder will be created, deploy. There is a folder will be created. Under the folder, you can see a jar file as well. Got it? A deploy folder created. Under this deploy folder, you can see a jar file. This is a deployable jar file. Okay. See here, when we are running the deploy, we have 2 tabs, right? One is SOA tab, which is doing build process. This build process generates the jar, and this deploy process deploys the jar into server. Okay. So, but there are few cases. A developer is not allowed to run this deployment process. This approach, developer is not allowed. To run this deployment approach. Okay. Right. So at that time, what happened? We need an alternative approach. Due to project limitations or whatever the reason is, but sometimes developer is not allowed to do a direct deployment. So at that time, we go with a SAR file deployment. SAR, we call it as SAR file deployment. Okay, SAR, SOA archive file. SOA archive file. Okay, SAR file deployment. It's very simple, guys. This is a two-step process. First, we need to generate. Okay, jar file. First, we need to generate jar file. Login into EM. Export jar file. Export jar file. This is two-step process. Okay, SAR file deployment. So what I need to do, first go to JDeveloper, whatever the service you want to deploy. Let's say I want to deploy my billing system. Okay, so check billing system. There is no deploy folder. I deleted it. Actually, I deleted it. So now what I want to do, right click on the project, deploy, same navigation, but earlier we selected it to deploy to application server, right? Instead of selecting deploy to application server, you can go to generate SAR file. It will generate the SAR file. Click next. Okay, and next, finish. That's it. Once you click finish button, you can see it in the folder. A jar file will be generated, but your code will not be deployed into server. It just creates the jar file. Let's wait for a few seconds. Okay. It is still building. Okay, done. See here, we got the deploy folder. Under the deploy folder, you can see billing system jar file. If you go to the enterprise manager, check the refresh it, and you see that billing system was not deployed at all. Okay, complete. Let the refresh complete. Because I did not deploy the billing system into my server, I just generated the jar file. Okay, so now what I want to do, step one completed, we generated the jar file. Now step two is that jar file we need to export into our enterprise manager. So in enterprise manager, if you come to deployed composites tab, here you can see a button called deploy. Just click on this button, deploy, and it will ask you to browse. Guys, when you are doing practice, read every instruction on this screen. Read everything. You may understand, you may not understand. See, when we are doing practice, sometimes we are getting pop-ups only, right? So read every instruction on the pop-up. You may use it, may not use it. Read it. Okay. Anyway, so I want to deploy my jar file. So how I can export the jar file? Here I have an option. Archive is on the machine where this web browser is running. So my jar file and this web browser are in the same machine, right? Just browse it. Browse the jar file. Where is it? Let's go to folder, D drive. This is my folder. Under this is the repository folder. Under this application folder, and then go to billing system. Here you can see the deploy folder and select the jar. Okay, and click next and next. Okay, oh sorry, here it is asking to choose the SOA folder. We have a SOA folder called default. I just choose the SOA folder. Read every instruction when you are doing it. Okay, and then click next. Deploy. Deploy as a default revision. See this? Deploy as a default revision, and then deploy. Now what happened? Your program will be deployed into your SOA server. Done. Now you can see the program. If you go to your folder, go to deployed composites, you can see all the projects. Billing system is the project just now we deployed. Okay, so there are cases, guys, where we don't have, our JDeveloper is not allowed to connect the server due to network related restrictions, security related restrictions. Somehow we are not allowed to do a direct deployment from JDeveloper to server. At that time, this is the approach we need to follow. We need to make the jar, go to enterprise manager, export the jar into enterprise manager, and the deployment will be completed. From here, everything is common, normal testing. Okay, right, guys. So you understand, right? Here, this jar is regeneratable. We no need to maintain this in our repository. Suppose I have 10 services, 10 services will have 10 jars. So, and this jar, every time whenever we are doing a deployment, this jar is a regeneratable file. Okay, that's what the reason I don't want to maintain this jar in my repository. I just want to delete this. Okay, either delete this or don't commit it. Either delete it or don't commit it. Okay, so all the unwanted stuff we can delete. Suppose if you see, don't delete .adf file. This is important. This is important. Don't delete .adf file. Okay, you can delete the .data. This is system generated, and again it will be generated. Okay, and if you open the project, deploy folder is not required. Under SOA folders, ka-inf is not required. Under SOA folders, ka-inf is not required. You can delete it. Okay, so remaining files and folders we need to commit. Remaining files and folders we can commit. Okay, sir. Any question? So now what I want to do, I just want to commit and push the code. Commit and push the code, because we are done, right? Our service is ready. Our service is ready. Code is ready. Testing completed. I want to commit my code. Git CUI, or you can go to status. It will show you all the files and their status. Git status is saying these are all. This is a modified file. JWS modified because we created a new project. That means one new entry added in the JWS file. And then these are all the modified files and untracked files. Okay, let's go to GUI. Let's go to GUI. You need to commit all the billing system related files. Mainly in the billing systems, check this is an XSD, I need it. This is a .bpl file, we need it. Graphic.xml not required. XSL file, yes, it is part of the code. Visitor, part of the code. Composite.xml, part of the code. File list, we can avoid this file, of course, even if you commit it, not an issue. Okay, JWS required. Graphic.xml not required. File list not required. Graphic not required. Graphic not required. I must commit the JPR. Yeah, this is the JPR file. Commit it. So make sure we are not missing, we are not going to miss any important file. Any file which is part of the code, we should not miss. XSD, Visitor, Composite, Beeple, .beeple, .xsl, okay, .jpr, .jws. We should not miss any of these files. Okay, all the files are ready. Now give a comment. Sir, without comment, you cannot perform the commit. Okay. Billing system dev completed and tested. I'm just giving some comment. Okay, commit and push. Commit and push. Make sure the branch which you are selecting, I want to push the code into feature/bs push. So now my code will go to central repository. Okay, GitHub, right? GitHub. Okay, I already logged in into my repository, and you can see the branches now. You can see all the branches: main, BS, CVS. If you go to main branch, do you see billing system in main branch? Are you able to see billing system in main branch, sir?
No, sir.
No, because we committed our billing system into the BS branch. Okay, let it load. It is taking time to load. Okay, now you see the main branch. I'm in main branch, and this is our application, SOA application. And here you can see card validation system project, project 1, and arithmetic service. Go to BS branch, feature branch. If you go to BS branch, here you can see the billing system. Okay, even in the local code, observe this, guys. As of now, my current branch is feature/BS. So in your JDeveloper, you are able to see the billing system. Okay. Suppose close everything, guys. When you are doing this practice, close everything in your JDeveloper. Don't open any page in the any file in your JDeveloper. Okay. Now go to change the branch. Suppose I want to check out main. Okay. Observe here. If I check out to main code will be displayed in your JDeveloper, not the BS code. Okay, let me enter. Now I'm in main branch. Whatever. See this? Just click here and that's it. Nothing else you need to do. Just it will be reloaded. It will be reloaded, and you can see the billing system is missing because the current control is in main branch. Current control is in main branch, so it won't you won't see that here. Okay. The same thing happened in the central repository. According to your branch, the code will be displayed according to your branch. Okay, in the main branch, you don't see billing system. In the feature branch, you can see the billing system code. Okay, we are done. So what we did, create a billing system project and then commit and push code into GitHub. All this is for feature branch. Commit and push code into GitHub feature branch. Done, sir. Step number 17 completed. Now what we need to do? The last step, merge feature branch into main branch. This is what we are planning to do, right? Merge feature branch, feature/BS into main branch. Again, these 3 steps we need to perform. We need to perform these 3 steps. Check out main branch, pull feature/BS into main branch, commit and push main branch into GitHub. This is the same process what we did for card validation system. The same process we are doing for billing system as well. Okay, now I'm in main branch. Git pull origin feature/BS. Whatever was developed in BS feature branch, I'm pulling that into my main branch. Done. So now my main branch contains billing system. Now my main branch contains billing system. What you can do, git commit. Go to git GUI. There is nothing to commit. There is no new file we need to commit. Okay, simply do the push operation, and this time we need to perform the push on main branch. Okay, done. So what is the advantage here? If you go to your repository, central repository, suppose guys you want to do something with only billing system, you check out the billing system code and do some practice. You want to see only card validation system. I mean, I'm keeping save points for my project. Card validation system, one save point, billing system, one save point. You are observing it, right? Suppose after 10 days, again, I want to come back and do some practice, or I want to verify how my card validation system looks like earlier. Okay, I can come back to the CVS branch. And I can see the code. No, I want the latest code. You always see the latest and total code in the main branch. Latest and total code in the main branch, because we are merging. We merged card validation code into main branch. We merged billing system into main branch. So that means this main branch is the production copy. So we maintain the code properly in this main branch and deploy it into production. Okay, are we good? Any questions till now? Any questions? So guys, yeah, go ahead. Somebody is asking something.
Yes, sir. Sir, we are in a synchronous response. How we can check in SOAP or SOAP?
We'll see that in the further example. As of now, we are checking only default behavior. Okay. This project was not over, right? Our project contains 3 parts: card validation system, billing system, and order processing system. I explained you 2 sessions before, right? These 3 altogether, these 3 services, we are going to construct one project. each service is not one project. Here our requirement, we discussed the requirement, right? We need to build card validation system, billing system. These two services I want to reuse in my order processing system. Order processing system need to call card validation, order processing system need to call billing system. Then we will construct the overall business logic. Then you can see how to get the response.
Yes.
Are we good? Okay, right. So wait, I mean, our project is not over. Our project contains 3 services, or together we can form one project. Okay. So guys, the next concept is called MDS. In the next session, I will talk about this MDS concept, but this concept has a dependency on card validation system and billing system project to practice the concept. That means tomorrow session, the next session, before I complete the next session, you must be ready with the card validation system, billing system in your JDeveloper. You must be ready with the card validation system and billing system. Otherwise, you cannot do MDS practice. Okay, so please get ready, complete the practice, card validation system and billing system, test them, deploy them, commit, push, and merge into main branch. Keep up to this point. Are we good? Any questions?
Yes, sir. We'll do same, sir.
Okay, done. So that's it from my side, guys. If you have any questions, you can continue. Let me know whatever questions you have.